I recently looked at 4 of the big realism add-ons in the Minecraft Bedrock marketplace to see how they worked with vibrant visuals, and from the 4, only 2 of them seem to be either unbroken or very close to being unbroken. So in today's video, I'm going to be taking the only compatible vibrant visual add-on pack from the 4 we looked at, Realism VFX, and pairing it with 3 of the heavy-hitting vibrant visual texture packs. We're going to be pairing it with Prizma Visuals, Luminous Dreams, and Dark Fantasy Visuals to see what realism and a vibrant visual texture pack combination actually looks like. We're going to be looking at daytime, nighttime, underwater, and rainfall, as well as going to the nether and the end in each combination. So let's get started. Now, to start this triple showcase video off, we're going to start with my favorite vibrant visual texture pack currently in the marketplace, Prizma Visuals paired with Realism VFX. Like in my previous video where we looked at vanilla vibrant visuals with Realism VFX, every setting is turned on. I know you can adjust all of these things and you can play around and see what you want and how it's working. I want to try the full effect, and what that meant is turning on God rays. They seem to be turned off by default, but everything for this showcase is turned on. And in terms of how the packs are stacked, I have the add-on in slot number 1 and I have the texture pack in slot number 2. Whether or not that changes anything, I'm not 100% sure, but let's see what we've got. Now, I absolutely love Prizma Visuals, okay? I love how hot it makes the world. I love how bright it is. I even don't mind all of the pink. So I know a lot of people have a few issues with the pink flowers on tools and the pink design. For me, it's not a problem. And then also it has what I think is an absolute godsend. It's got the height maps as well. I can't play without height maps currently. It's just such a big thing for me. So that's the Prizma Visuals part. But in terms of the Realism VFX, currently not a lot is really happening at the moment. Obviously we have got the birds, the skies are very full, but just trying to have a look around, see if we can force any God rays happening. Any lens flares doesn't seem to be occurring as we're going through here. Obviously, like I always say, Prizma is here, vibrant visuals is here in general to give us them lighting effects like what you see here. There's no forcing it, it's just done how it's supposed to happen. It's all being processed correctly how it's supposed to happen. So with the Realism VFX add-on, it doesn't need to force things. It should be trying to, don't get me wrong, with all of the settings that are on, and I would expect some issues, but currently the only thing I'm seeing are the birds. So we may need to fly around a little bit and just see what happens as we go. Maybe the way Prizma works and does things, there's not a lot happening. Obviously the higher we go, we are going to start hopefully getting some wind effects coming across us. Yeah, I've seen a few very subtle windy wisps coming through, but at the moment all it's really done is made birds a bit more active. There was a bit more wind there as well. I do have clouds turned off. That allows us to use the Realism VFX clouds as well. They're not too bad, you know. I actually really like the way they look. They seem to be catching some of the pink in places, some of that heat, some of that light in places. You've got the birds flying off into them. Birds are very active, I will say. But okay, not as much as I was expecting, not much less than what we had with vanilla vibrant visuals, don't get me wrong, but I have to say I'm disappointed we're not getting the ground fog. Here there's some butterflies going around, which is always quite nice. Obviously they're not vibrantly, oh in fact they could be. I was gonna say obviously they're not. Oh, hang on, got a little lens flare here. Doesn't seem to be reactive to the sun because the sun's over there, so my lens flare's going up to space. There's an alien aiming a laser at me right now apparently. But we do have a lens flare, even if it's not quite aimed in the right place. I was going to say that obviously none of the effects have vibrant visual enhancements like PBR or glowing or anything like that. But Realism VFX, if I can speak, is the only realism pack that has vibrant visuals enhanced from the 4 that we've been looking at this week. So at the moment there's just not a lot in terms of I suppose, forced God rays, forced light rays, fog. We're not exactly getting an immersion of fog around the render distance either. This lens flare, while it does look quite nice and it's not necessarily buggy in how it's working, I mean, it is flickering. The fact it's not actually coming off of the sun is a big thing. And then obviously the clouds, I really like the clouds though. I have to say, I think the clouds are awesome. If we was to go through a tree, just to have, I mean, look at how dark it gets going through the tree. This is why I really like Prizma. There is also sound effects going on as well, coming from Realism. See, now that looks like a forced God ray. That right there, that is a forced God ray from Realism VFX. Because it's not coming through the trees, you see. It's forced through the leaves. Whereas before, where we was looking like over here, that's probably a bit more natural because it's coming off of the edge of the tree. But where you can see the ones coming through the blocks, those are more forced. And so you probably will turn those off as you're going through. But in terms of the stuff that we're seeing, like I say, the clouds are working absolutely fine from what I can see. This does become a little bit too strong. The lens flares probably come a little bit too strong, so you might want to turn those off. The birds, while there are a lot of them, they all seem to be migrating for winter, and there's nothing wrong with them being in the sky, in my opinion. They're not exactly getting in the way. We do have some light flickering, though, where things don't seem to be working perfectly, so just bear that in mind. I don't know if that's coming across on the video, but we do have a few light flickering. What we're going to do, let's set it to midnight. That's weather. Let's set it to midnight. See how we're doing here. Okay, so yeah, again, look, you get those God rays that are supposed to come from the moonlight, and you can see them a lot stronger here. These are forced. These ain't great. And so what you would normally do, I assume at least, is coming to here and turn off the God rays and then hit submit. Let it catch up with us. You see how they disappear? So you can see we've identified an issue. We turn them off, the pack works, but I don't want to hide those issues for this video. I just want to show you that there is a way to turn them off. So let's get that back on, like so. Now they shouldn't appear in the exact same spaces. They should probably respawn somewhere else. But I mean, really, other than just like wind effects, butterflies, birds, it's very small quality of life additions that are occurring. Nothing too crazy. Haven't seen a lot of fog. Not really seeing a lot of anything else coming in here. So is it enough? Is it not too much? Let me know down in the comments as we have a little look. We've got these fireflies coming in, but are they just coming off of these? They may be. I don't think they're a visual effect. Let's see what happens around here. And bear in mind as well, I can't show you every biome. I definitely can't show you every visual effect. So treat this more like just a teaser of what we're getting, to be honest. But nighttime, I mean, clouds don't seem to be too much in the way. I don't know what I'm trying to say. The clouds aren't... Oh, we had a meteor there. The clouds don't seem to be spawning too much in the sky at night. We had a meteor effect. We've got... Oh, hang on. No, let's see. Look, it's still over there. That's where the lens flare's coming from. There's the light source. Yeah, so that's not working either. You may want to turn that off as well. But I mean, at the moment, it's not broken. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's nothing... You're not looking at it and going, bleh. Like, it's still working. There's still ways to make it work. And then if we was to come over to here and get down underwater, how are we looking underwater now? Obviously, Vibrant Visuals has its own water effects. Realism VFX is then adding its own. Here we go, look. Underwater God rays, absolutely forced. So one learning that we're having here already is God rays does not work with Vibrant Visuals. I think that's a very, very clear thing to say. It's just forcing light that doesn't need to be forced. We've got these water ripples here on the top of the water as well, which, I mean, they're a little bit overpowering. They're a little bit overbearing, but they're not necessarily getting in the way. Got the caustics at the bottom here. I think this is probably doing more to get in the way than anything else. And we also have that underwater sound effect too. But I think, again, I think there's something to work for. I'm not shying away from it. I wish the lens flares would line up with the sun. I don't understand why it doesn't. I don't understand why that's offset. That probably needs to be fixed. But I mean, there are definite improvements here. Just, is it worth it if you don't already own the pack? That's the question. Let's set it to rain. So when it's rainy, ooh, okay, so it gets quite overcast. Yeah, nice little overlay on the sun there. In fact, it kind of dulls out the sun a little bit. That's a nice effect. I like the way the clouds are hitting too. You get the really in your face wind effects as well. I will say though that the water is like the raindrops, sorry, is a very weird color and effect. Very nice water ripples, seems to be hitting the ground and the ocean. Doesn't seem to care if it's water it's landing on or blocks. But it kind of does have like a glitchy feel the way the water is landing. So just be aware of that. Be very careful. We'll see if that's consistent across the 3 packs. And then in the meantime, what we'll do, let me use my old cheats. We're going to go and check out the Nether now. See how this looks. Obviously, like I've said it before in previous showcases, Realism VFX is the sister add-on to Realism Craft. So we get this crazy effect here with the spirits coming from the soul sand, the souls, if you will. This seems to be a weather effect in the Nether, so it shouldn't look like this normally, but this is what I call Nether weather. It's really nice with the blue though. You know, that blue biome color in the distance there as well. That is all right. It's strong, it's in your face, but that's quite a nice color effect. And if we travel over this way, kind of wanted to leave the soul sand. We get out of the soul sand while the weather effect is still happening. Let's go over here. No, still more soul sand. Get me out of the soul sand, please. We'll head into a basalt delta even. Alright, so the Nether weather's still going. We've got like a little firestorm happening here. That feels even stronger with the red biome color as well, and in the darkness in the distance. Again, in your face, this is a weather effect. It's the same as raining in the overworld, thunderstorms in the overworld. But I don't see any glaring issues here, to be honest with you. It's just really strong. Really up in your face here. I'd like to see this disappear so we can just see the normal effect in the Nether. Hopefully it will soon. It seems to be dissipating, but that could just be me moving. Oh wow, look, a fire as well. Hellfire and brimstone, I think I've called it in the past. Just see what else. What I'm going to probably do is just stand still, let this pass, and then show you the Nether properly. And as if by magic, only a few seconds later, that has happened. So now we've just got the standard Nether. So you don't need to worry, you're not going to be constantly in a storm here with Realism VFX. That felt really nice though. And then if you just look at the rest of the world here, Prizma carrying a lot of weight. Prizma does a lot to the Nether, in all honesty. So does Vibrant Visuals in general. So I'm not really seeing much in terms of that VFX on a standard day. I want to go and see what it looks like. Can we see what a lava pool looks like? Let's get over here. See what we're dealing with in here. So, do we get God Rays? Nothing jumping out at me first and foremost. Lava though, look at the heat coming off of that lava. The bubbles as well, that's a nice little effect, a nice little quality of life touch. I don't hate it. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't hate how this is looking right now. I think both are doing really good bits. Is it realism? That's the question that you have to ask. So let me know down in the comments. Just on the edge here, and then we get another biome color change in here too. I really love all of this, these little light up effects as well from Prizma. I'm just glazing Prizma at this point. I do apologize. Not getting a ton of God Rays or lighting effects which we've had in the past, but I mean, that's nice. That's nice for me. Seriously, I think that's really good. Let's go and see how it looks in the end as well, just to round out this section, because these are long videos. Let's go into here. So we've got that purple tint. Definitely got a purple hue on the video, on the world. The end stone darker with some purple. We've got the end flashes occurring as well that would normally occur. A little bit of a graininess to the void, but here comes the Aurora Borealis. Hey, you know what? I've seen some really bad examples of Aurora Borealis in the end. This is nice. That is quite nice. But what we're dealing with here, a bit more blue on the screen than it is. Like, it's quite purple for me. A bit more blue in the recording. Got the reflections on there as well. I think this is a strong combination. Let me know what you guys think. What we're going to do now is load up the second Vibrant Visual texture pack. Alright, so for the second combination in this showcase, we're using Luminous Dreams, and the same rules apply. I have every setting turned on, and Luminous Dreams is in slot 2 with Realism VFX in slot 1. So hopefully that's the best setting that we can have. At the very least, it's the most consistent. And Luminous Dreams acts as a more vanilla Vibrant Visual texture pack. If you're not aware, doesn't use height maps, it's just using normal maps to give off the best feeling. So having a little look around, again, we've got the birds. The birds are happening. That's absolutely fine. No weird effects going on from those guys. That's all good. Just bringing a bit more life into the world. Nothing crazy happening with the water from up here either. Got some like butterflies and little chirps flying around, so that's cool. I don't know what a chirp is, but we'll call it a chirp. Why not? And I think for this one, let's head over to the acacia biome. Let's see how this is going to look over here. So again, I'm not expecting anything majorly different or anything majorly broken other than God rays, really, and potentially the lens flares as well. It should pretty much behave the same. So this is more just about how does it look? How does it kind of intertwine? The clouds are here. They're happening fine. They're a little bit more darker. They're not really picking up any pinks or anything like that, like they was from Prizma. You can see as well, if I'm not mistaken, the lens flare is not lined up to the sun. There it is there, so it's heading off up to there. So it's almost like where the sun wants to be, but it's not there. And I feel like that needs to be fixed by Realism VFX. It needs to link to the sky or link to the sun location at the very least. Looking around though, I mean, Luminous Dreams is a very, very good pack. It captures that vanilla feel very much, and Realism VFX is working exactly as you kind of would expect. You do have those darker clouds on the top still. Is it matching up with Luminous Dreams? I don't know. We've got the wind wisps happening as well. That's cool. I don't think it's massively different. I don't think it's a drastic change in terms of the clouds. They're just a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more pixelated. I think they was, or at least in my eyes, it did feel like they were picking up the pink of Prizma a little bit. Maybe I'm projecting, maybe I was thinking of it a little bit too different there, but I mean, I don't see anything wrong. If we're running through the ground, just to like kind of see how it looks as we go, do we get anything crazy happening? Doesn't seem to be an abundance of butterflies, doesn't seem to be an abundance of birds on the ground. We do have birds in the sky for sure, but it's very minimalistic. I don't know if that's something not working with VFX. There should be a lot more ground fog. A lot more ground fog, if I can remember from previous times. I think that's just something to do with Realism VFX though at the moment. But my main thing is that nothing is broken, and the one or two glaring instances can be turned off. I want to go over to some trees though. I want to see, do we get the forced God rays over here as well? How do they look with a less pinky feel? We're in like a more yellowy biome here with the acacia biome. And see, you've got the natural God rays. They're more subtle. They're just on the edge of the leaves. Hoping you guys can see them there. According to my recording, you can, so that's all right. Not getting massive amounts of fake ones. See what we're dealing with around here. What you kind of need for those God rays is you need to be in like a built-up wooded area to see them spawn in and really break the feel of the world. I mean, yeah, it's just subtle, isn't it, to be honest? I expected more from Realism VFX during these last few showcases that we've done for it, but I mean, it's not in your face, it's not trying to destroy anything, it's not trying to take the world away from what it is you want it to be, so that's cool. Let's head over here. See what we're dealing with down here. If Realism add-ons just becomes a more subtle experience, I don't necessarily dislike that. A more subtle feel, the odd butterfly here or there, the odd birds here or there, the odd bit of fog, or the weather effects. They can go a long way. See how we're going in here. If we get any of that. Nothing glaringly massively obvious when it comes to God rays being forced. Could just be because we've not been in an area long enough, but it could also... Okay, there's one. There's one. That one there. But you know what? It's a lot more subtle. I guess if we look back, you see you've got like flares here, and they're a little bit more yellowy, a little bit more picking up the... oh, sorry, we've got God rays here. They're a little bit more yellow or picking up the green of the leaves, whereas these are a bit more white. So I suppose if you're really trying to analyze the rays, there is a difference. But I think because Luminous Dreams keeps it so vanilla in how it looks, they're not glaringly obvious. You know, you have to stop and stare to look at them. Like, I'm looking for them, so I can see that's a forced one against a more deliberate one. But, I don't know, man, it blends in a little bit better for sure. Why don't we go and see how it looks at night time? Somewhere in here is night. Where is night? Midnight, thank you. Let it catch up with us. Alright, so there was a weird lighting effect there, but I mean, how often in survival are you going to be changing the time like that? So it's probably not something to be worried about. The clouds again disappear. Lens flares are still happening from the wrong location. So on those ones, I believe you can just go into overworld. The overworld? It might not be overworld actually. Submit. Let me go sky. Sun lens flares and moon lens flares. You want to turn those off. You'll see a bit different. Have a little look around. It just seems to be those subtle changes, those few birds, those few butterflies, those few God rays coming in at the moment. And maybe as you experience it more, you see a bit more. But I suppose, like I said in the last part, the big question is if you don't already own the pack, do you go and buy Realism VFX for your forever world because of it? That's the question I want to ask you guys down in the comments. I really like the way those light ups are occurring. That's cool, but nothing too crazy happening here. Just the higher up we go, the more wind effects we're going to start to get. Oh, meteor shower. That was nice. That was a nice little meteor shower that occurred. Another one there as well. So you get these little effects happening, irregardless of what texture pack you're using, to be fair. So then let's go and have a look. Time and day. We might as well go into the ocean. Let's see what we're dealing with underwater then. Are there any red flags down here? Let the light catch up with us. So it's more of the same really. But again, it doesn't feel as forced here. That is definitely forced. Don't get me wrong. Definitely forced. But I think because of the color palette of the texture pack, maybe it feels more natural, might be the right term. Very overpowering, very in your face, very strong. But it doesn't go against that pink of Prizma like it did. It just feels a bit more natural in its coloring and its lighting effect. Maybe I'm waffling, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And then lastly, for the overworld, let me go here. We're going to check out the rain. See how this goes. I'm going to get on land. Okay, so the rain here doesn't have that glitchy effect. It's there, it's very fine rain, soaks you through, but it's not that kind of thick glitchy lines, thick glitchy blues that we were getting in Prizma. That's a win for Luminous Dreams there, in my opinion. But we also don't seem to be getting as many like water ripple effects. Is it biome related with those water ripple effects? It shouldn't be, should it? Like, look, you can see the water bouncing off the ground. Occasionally you're getting water ripple effects, but it felt like a lot more in Prizma. I don't know why. Again, I like the way the torrential downpour, the air and stuff like that. I like how overcast it gets as well, which really excites me for the third pack. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The rain here is a lot stronger than it was in the first pack. It's not in your face. It's not taking over the screen, and it doesn't feel very different. So that's one up there for that one. Let's head into now the Nether. Thank you very much for keeping with me on these videos, by the way. It's only because I keep getting asked constantly, what add-ons work best in Vibrant Visuals and what add-ons look like with texture packs, that we're here doing this. So I hope you're getting your questions answered. That is a very fiery fog over there. Am I waiting for things to come in here? I don't know. Something different is happening here though. The way that fog is reacting. So I think what's happening here is because Prizma darkens the world so much, we didn't see a lot of that. Whereas here in Luminous Dreams, it doesn't have that darkness effect as strong. Like, it's still apparent. You can see it down here, for instance. You can see the darkness in areas. But you get to see a bit more fog, and then because of that, you get to see a bit more off into the distance, and then you get the color effects. Look at that. Really fiery, almost like there's a forest fire happening off in the distance. That's a strong effect. That is nice. I don't know if we're going to get to see some nether weather in Luminous Dreams. It would be very similar to what we was dealing with already. If we do, I'm sure. Because that's put together by Realism VFX mostly. Color biomes are so strong. Or biome colors are so strong here in how they're firing. And over here, look, you get that bright orange for the lava pool. You get that greeny blue here for the warped biome as well. Sound effects occurring too for the ambience. Ah. Look at that's nice, man. That is really nice. Yeah, nothing really too glaringly obvious. I mean, looking down here as well, we get the same bubbly lava. There was some like level of mist and fog and just heat clouds on the top, but it feels like you have to be a certain angle or a certain way away. Very subtle. It's not as in your face here. And then if we head into the end again, see what we're dealing with here. Again, heavy purple, so that wasn't being pulled in by Prizma. That is the Realism VFX end with the purple. Get the end flash again. We just have a little look around. We're going to wait for the end flash to disappear. We're going to see here comes some Aurora Borealis popping in as well. So the end seems to be run a lot by Realism Craft. Not Realism Craft, sorry. Realism VFX, the sister to Realism Craft. Again, it still feels nice though. I think Luminous has a few wins over Prizma in like the rain and how the lighting effects work in a vanilla fill. But for me, Prizma still wins because it's my favorite. It's ticking the right boxes in that area. But I definitely can see why somebody would pick Luminous Dreams in this combination. Let's go and check out the third and final combination. Now, while Prizma is my favorite vibrant visual texture pack, and while Luminous Dreams keeps to vanilla a lot, this is actually the pack that I'm most excited to test because it's so different to both of them. This is Dark Fantasy Visuals right here, and the same rules apply. Dark Fantasy Visuals is in slot 2, the add-on Realism VFX is in slot 1, so it's the highest ranked, and also all settings are turned on. So let's see what we're dealing with here. Now, Dark Fantasy Visuals, I mean, it's in the name, right? It's made to be darker. It's made to really tone down the vibrancy of the visuals, really bring it back to a more neutral, maybe even just past neutral and almost too dark feel. It's always overcast, it uses colors, and up until recently, it also had height mapped grass. It doesn't anymore. They have updated to get rid of the PBR effects. But also, and somewhat importantly, it only uses currently vanilla blocks. Now, there was talk that they were going to be adding their own custom blocks to this texture pack, but at the moment, it only uses vanilla blocks and is about how it's affecting the light. So, how does it affect the light? And how does Realism VFX work within that? Well, we're seeing the same things that we've seen so far. We've got the birds flying around. We've got wind. We've got a lens flare that doesn't match up to the light source again. And we've got forced God rays mixed with some real God rays here. And you know what? Being darker, it really lowers down the effect of those forced God rays. You can still, once your eye notices them, you can still tell it's forced when you see them. But it's more neutral for sure. And my favorite water is the Dark Fantasy Visuals water, in my opinion. I just love how murky and dark that feels. So I'm excited to see how this goes, to be honest with you. And I'm excited to see how it rains too. The clouds even feel at home here. So where, look at that, wow. Where I said during the Prizma section that I thought they were picking some of the pink into the clouds, and you may agree, you may disagree, that's absolutely fine. In Dark Fantasy Visual, these clouds are taking the darkness. They're looking like they're ready to rain, and that fits the world so well. That is a really strong cloud effect, in my opinion. That is really nice. Let me know what you guys think about that in terms of the overall pack. You may not like the aesthetic of the pack, but in terms of how that fits, that feels really, really strong. We carry on over here now. This is going to be one of the best biomes to see these God Rays. Sure of it, because there's going to be a lot of forced and a lot of genuine here. Be very surprised if we didn't get a lot of forced. Struggling to tell, to be fair. See what we've got here. They seem to just occur around trees, but that looks natural. I think we need to stay low to try and see some just spawn in, but this feels strong. Obviously, you'd have to pair this with like a Conquest or an Excalibur. Something medieval, something darker in tone, but also vibrantly visual compatible. But that could be a really good combination to do, you know. All of you guys out there that want to make your own YouTube channels, that could be a really good combination to do. Dark Fantasy Visuals, Realism VFX, with the clouds turned on, and a Conquest or an Excalibur. That could be, oh, that actually, now that I'm saying it, that could be quite fire in terms of how that's looking. But honestly, nothing's jumping out at me as overly forced here. This seems to be really playing well with the light. And in places where it doesn't, it gives off a misty effect. Look at that. I mean, that could even be elements of the ground fog that we haven't been seeing. Light is really being used well here. I really like this. Oh, wow. All right, let's take the opportunity then to set it to nighttime, midnight. Let's see. That's always weather, Daz. Always weather. We want time. Midnight. Boom. Let's fire. Whoa. Okay, let it catch up with us here. Let it catch up with us. In Dark Fantasy Visuals, dark is dark. Let's see how this goes. We can still see the clouds. That was something we were struggling with in the past two texture packs. The clouds are still here at night. Now, whether or not they disappear and don't come back, I don't know, but they're still there. They do look like they're very subtle, but they are still there. Pure darkness across the land, except for that one village. Ooh, yes. Yes, please. Yes, please. You know what I'm saying? Yes, please. And I've got loads of videos as well if you wanted to see how Dark Fantasy Visuals works with Prizma, if you want to try and incorporate the height maps in. I've got loads of combinations over on my Dazman Reacts channel, so go and check those out as well. If you want to see more combinations with vibrant visuals or just texture packs and add-ons in general, go and check those out. We're trying to just show you as many different combinations, different world styles as possible. This is insanely dark. Wow, okay. Let's get ourselves a little bit of daytime again. Get ourselves out over to the ocean. This lens flare, I really like the lens flare. I really hate that it's not lined up. I know I've said it in all three sections, but honestly, the lens flare feels so good because it pops into your eye line and it just reminds you of something different. And then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's just not in the right place. Okay. Okay, here we go. Green water, murky green water. What are you doing to me here? Might not be in the right seat. Oh. Because I might be wrong here, but this is the feeling I'm getting. Because, let me just make sure it's not the lens flare. Because when you're underwater in Dark Fantasy Visuals, it gives you a lot of like a fog. Really brings your view distance in. That really helps neutralize the underwater rays of light. They don't feel as forced at all, and you can't tell that this lens flare is not lined up under here either. So I mean, again, while it's annoying that it's not, there's ways around it underwater. That feels strong. I really like this water effect as well with the green. The sound effects too. This might actually be a really good combination for me. I want to see what you guys say. I'm going to be super keen. to see what you guys think about this third and final combination, Dark Fantasy Visuals and Realism VFX. But the one bit that's going to matter most to me, it looks like it wants to rain. It feels like a rainy day in London. So let's make it rain. Weather, rain, boom. Ah, okay. Okay. That's disappointing. So it's got that same rainy glitchiness that we had in Prizma. Makes sense, it's by the same creators, by Starfish Studios, both Prizma and Dark Fantasy Visuals. And then to be fair, Luminous Dreams is by Poggy. I prefer Luminous Dreams water. Or like raindrops, that kind of water, sorry. But I prefer the Dark Fantasy Visual world. That darkness coming in again. I've always said it. You're probably bored of me saying it whenever I do a vibrant visual fill, but my biggest surprise when I do vibrant visual videos is not how the light interacts. It's how darkness hits. And it hits so well. That fill, I mean, it's a shame about the rain. Luminous Dreams had the best rain, let's be completely honest. I think we can all agree on that. If we can't, let me know down in the comments. Now then never. Well, I mean, firing it in straight away. Look at the heat coming off of that. That's such a cool effect there as well, with the souls coming out of the soul sand. Look at the darkness in here. Oh, wow. Look at that. I was waiting for it to catch up with us. It ain't catching up with nothing. That is nice. Oh, hang on. It might be catching up. It might be catching up. It's almost like this itself is a lighting effect. It's almost like an Aurora Borealis in the soul sand. Oh, I have to say that feels very magical. That feels incredibly magical. Let's go and have a little look around. Let's get out of the Soul Sand Valley. The fog on the lava, the bubbles is such a nice touch. I never said it as well, but yes, Realism VFX does have dynamic light, and you can crouch interact the torch into your offhand. That doesn't matter with the texture packs, that's why I've not been showing it. But that is also a possibility. That the ambience of the Nether with the Dark Fantasy Visuals, you can't see a thing. Love it. I think that's so good. And as we come over here, we've got the fog, we've got sound effects, and here comes Nether weather. So it's just Luminous Dreams we're not going to see Nether weather in, but you can pretty much tell it looks identical. The Nether weather effect itself is the same. It's coming from Realism VFX. The world around it is the difference. Dark Fantasy Visuals lives up to its name perfectly. I might have to message Starfish Studios, you know, I might have to flex a little bit of a connection there, see if they're still friends with me, and ask them what's happening with this pack. Look at that. Honestly, did I ever pair this with Biomes Aplenty? Oh, this is nice, man. I like this. Let me know what you guys think. I think Dark Fantasy Visuals answers every criticism of Prizma, but we're not here for that conversation. We're here for the realism, and I still think the realism is really nice. I think this is cool, man. But heading into the basalt, we get the basalt dust as well, which we haven't seen in today's video yet. Nether weather is a great introduction, shall we say. It just brings even more life, makes it even more treacherous. It's cool. All right, let's get out of here before I fall in love, and let's go to the end and see how that looks. Let's drop down here. Ooh, okay, so it's not as purple because the darkness of the texture pack takes over. We can see the end dust a lot more as well because of that darkness. This might be my favorite of the three. This combination might be my favorite of the three. Look at the Aurora Borealis is coming into sight as well. Do we get end flares? I'm gonna go on like a lap and see if we get any end flares pop in. I never remember. I think they're subtle, aren't they? When they happen. Yes, there they are. Yeah, it's not as loud, it's not as bright. And then the Aurora Borealis disappearing with it too. Get out of here. Yeah, guys, for me, this combination, Dark Fantasy Visuals and Realism VFX is my favorite combination of the three. Prizma and Luminous Dreams both have a lot of pros and they both have cons against each other as well. But Dark Fantasy Visuals for me just feels perfect. What I would say when using Realism VFX, turn off God Rays, potentially turn off lens flares if you get really triggered by the fact that it's not lined up to the sun. And you know what? I know I say turn off God Rays, turn them off if you get triggered by how forced they looked. But in this combination, they didn't look so forced. So have a look at those two things in particular and then just see what you do, man. I think there's some really good stuff here. Let me know down in the comments, what was your favorite combination? Do you have a favorite realism and vibrant visual combination that you're currently using? Let us know. If you like this video, please do hit the like button. Something different this week, not doing any reveals or reviews that we've been doing. So hopefully you enjoy this. This is the kind of content I normally put on Dasman Reacts, but I wanted to put realism here because this is where we started, baby. And if you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!